Hi, my name is Ben Sutter III, and I'm founder and owner of BS3 Radio. I've been podcasting for 5 years, and with BS3 Radio, it has grown to over 46,000 listens and downloads. I've helped hundreds of people to start a podcast by giving them the knowledge, tools, and confidence to be successful. Now I'm here to help you do the same with BS3 coaching. So let's build a successful podcast. I will be your podcast coach. We'll be able to work one-on-one. I won't be giving you a booklet and just telling you to look over it, but we'll be working one-on-one, side by side, to either help build up a successful podcast or to take your podcast to the next level. So click the link above or below to check out the pricing. I look forward to working with you, and God bless. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Reaction Monday night, December the 14th. We got a great show planned for tonight. We'll be recapping week 7 of Creating Young Minds Undiscovered League. Also, we'll be talking NFL and college football. So we got a lot to get to. Also, we'll have my man DeAnthony Thompson. He'll be coming on the show later on. So let's get into week 7 of Creating Young Minds. Once again, Creating Young Minds is an organization that helps young men build their lives and also learn valuable lessons, and using basketball to do it. So they do a very good job at it. They have a lot of great young men, some that I have talked to, and they're playing some great basketball. So this was week 7 of the Undiscovered League. You can either go and watch the games live. They're in Louisville, Texas, if you're in Louisville. It's normally at the Mac Center. This past week, they had it at the Macedonia Care Center. So all you need to do is go to creatingyoungminds.org. Also, as you can see below, if you're not able to actually go and watch it live, you can view it right here on this link, which is creatingyoungminds.uscreen.io. And also we'll have some highlights tonight as well as we talk week 7 of the Undiscovered League. Man, some really good balling, some really good players. I thought it was really good this week. The first game, though, off the bat, which we're going to talk about, and we had 3 games on tap for this past weekend. The Undiscovered team versus the Pros, which the Pros is they're a real team. And when I say real team, this was the only team that I've seen that's been able to hang with the Undiscovered team. Also, we had Louisville Black versus the Pros, so they had a doubleheader, and they played even better in the second game. And then we also had EA Hoops versus the Prospects. So we had 3 games. The Vets were scheduled to play a game. They did not end up playing their game this week, but I'm looking forward to seeing the Vets coming back and building strong. Shout out to all the listeners. Let me know where you're listening from. Join in on the comments. Give me any comments or suggestions or anything that you may have. But thank you for viewing in tonight to Reaction Monday. Always great to see and hear, the comments and the lovely faces. So thank you, everyone, for checking us out tonight. All right, so as we go into week 7, we had the first game, Undiscovered team. They won. They actually went to overtime. So this was the best game of yesterday. It went into overtime. The Pros are a real team, man. They really came to play. They came to make some noise. They were hustling. You could tell that they were former pro players. One of them, CJ Carter, which played with the Knicks. Also had another gentleman that played in the G League. And these guys were just hungry and ready to play. So Damian Durham, again, I've been talking about him every single week. I've been talking about Damian Durham, and he also had another big game this week. Undiscovered team. He ended up falling short, but like I said, this was the best game. It ended up going to overtime, and there's nothing better than an overtime game of basketball. And there was 2 pro scouts that were there, and they were very high on Jared Henderson. He's 24 years old, and Bausa Bolshevik. They played great all-around players on both ends of the floor. So those were 2 players to definitely to give a shout out to. Did a really good job. So all throughout the game, Undiscovered was banging on the boards, which is very important, when it comes to basketball. Also, when you're trying to, make big plays and also be able to make some transition plays. So it was 19-15, Undiscovered leading in this game. Shout out to my man, Taryn Rodriguez. Thank you for coming through over on the YouTube side. I appreciate that. Always doing a great job. Part of IE Sports Radio, which I am nominated for the IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame. So that's really, really cool. Go to my Twitter at BS3 Radio. You can vote for me. Damian Durham, I wrote this down on my notes. I've talked about him every single week. One of the best shooters I've ever seen, period. One of the best shooters. And you can just call him Dame because he pulls up from anywhere. And he's one of those players. The pros were just going back and forth, man. This was a real back and forth type of game. And I wanted to also give a shout out to the coach, Mathis Crowder. Now, if you know of a coach that you've had growing up, or of a coach that is so passionate and vocal on the sideline, that is Mathis Crowder. And he's also co-founder and owner of Creating Young Minds. But he is very vocal, and he pushes the best out of his players. That's one thing I appreciate about watching, is that you are going to hear him yelling. You are going to hear him being vocal, but it's all for the good of the players and for the good of the team as a whole. So it ends up being 43-35 Undiscovered. This was at the half. And Jared Henderson, again, one of those big energy guys, one of those guys that will get buckets, that will bang on the boards, that will dunk on you. Very high energy guy. CJ Carter was playing above the rim. This was the guy, like I said, played for the New York Knicks. And the pros came to play. They really came to play. They were not playing around. And this was the first time seeing them in the Undiscovered League. And they truly came to play. And they really gave Undiscovered a run for their money. And this was probably the toughest game I've seen for Undiscovered. And I want to see them play. I want to see a rematch. We honestly have to see a rematch in this because of the talent on the floor was just massive. So the pros coming out in the third quarter, man, the pros just started D'ing up. They started playing D. They started really locking down the Undiscovered team. Bosa Bolshevik, man, getting to the hole really with ease. And he had an amazing game. Another one of those players that the pro scouts were looking at. He had he's 22 years old. But in the game as a whole, he had 17 points, 14 rebounds. That's a smooth double-double right there. That's a smooth double-double right there. 17 and 14 really doesn't get any better than that. As you guys are coming in, the link below to watch the games are every Sunday from 12 to 4 Central. Or if you're in Texas, in North Texas, you can come and watch it in Louisville. At the last week, they played at the Macedonia Care Center. Normally, they play at the MAC Center, which is in Louisville. You can look it up. Follow me on social media. I'll be putting it out there whenever the games go down. Also, if you go to Creating Young Minds on all avenues of social media, so you can be on top of when the games are going to be played. Dante Smith of the Pros, another one of those guys getting to the hole. And it was really, like I said, a great back and forth. Damian Durham hitting a shot, CJ Carter hitting a shot, Jared Henderson getting to the hole, Dante Smith. I mean, it was just a real good back and forth type game. The Pros started pulling up late in the fourth, man. They really started D'ing up, and they started to pull away. Dante Smith hits 2 big free throws in the game. When you need big free throws, and he's a big man, you need your big man to be able to make these free throws, and they were able to do that. The regulation ends 74-74. So I'm like rubbing my hands together like, okay, we got an overtime game, and these are really two well-matched teams. The Pros get the tip. They score. They do not score on the first possession. On the second possession, they do score. It was Damian Durham hitting a real big 3. I was really expecting Undiscovered to win this game for the talent. The Pros, one guy in specific from the Pros could not get a layup. To me, that is fundamental for basketball. And if you miss a layup like that, that's going to cost you. And I think that was one of the things that could have costed them in this game. And number 23 was Sterling Sanders. And, that could have costed them, but it didn't. They continued to grind it out through the end of the game. And in overtime, they end up winning, and they, as in the Pros, end up winning 84-80. That was a great game. There was 2 clutch free throws by Aldrich Hills. And Damian Durham had a clear shot at a 3, which I thought he would have made it. He missed it, and that was the end of that game. Let's get to some highlights from this game. Undiscovered team, like I said, lost, 80-84. The Pros won. This was in overtime. Quick stats here. Jared Henderson had 16 points, 13 rebounds. Like I said, a big energy guy. You're going to see a highlight from him. Also, Bolshevik, 17 points, 14 rebounds. Like I said, that's a great double-double. You also see a highlight from him. Damian Durham continuing to ball out. The Pros showed up big time. First game in the Undiscovered League, and they showed up big time. CJ Carter, like I said, former New York Knick, also played for the Texas Legends, had 24 points, 5 rebounds. Aldrich Hills, who's played in Germany, had 21 points. Dante Smith had 14. He played in Morocco. And Jared Henderson and Bolshevik, just to give them a little bit of a backstory, they play for the TBL, which is the basketball league, Louisville Leopards. So they're 2 top players on that team. But let's get to the highlights of this game. Got the highlights on deck. These guys were playing some great basketball, and it was really a good back and forth. But let's get into this highlight with Jared Henderson. Like I said, big energy game. It was. Nice play right there, banging on the boards, like I said. And he was so much higher than anybody else on the floor. This kind of reminds me of Antoine Jamison. I'm a big North Carolina fan. And Antoine Jamison, they used to talk about him because he was above the rim. When everybody else was still standing on the ground, on the floor, he was already above the rim getting the rebounds. And that was a clear play, clear example of that with Jared Henderson. Let's get to this highlight with Bolshevik. Getting to the hole, man, with ease. Nice move right there. Another highlight, my man Damian Durham. Like I said, I've been talking about him for the past 3 weeks since I've been covering Creating Young Minds Undiscovered League. So check out this highlight here, Damian Durham. Good job, bud. Do not give him space. Period. Do not give him space. If you give him any type of space, if you give him that much, he's going to drain that. The pros, CJ Carter, man, had a really big day. Like I said, they had back-to-back games too, which we'll talk about the next game here in a minute. But CJ Carter had a really good day. Yakum, that was a dunk right there with the left hand. Like I said, CJ Carter with a really big day. And it was such a great game. You didn't know who was going to win. In a lot of these games during the Undiscovered League, some of them are close, some of them are not. This one was so close, you really could not tell who was going to win that game. But CJ Carter went off 24 points, 5 rebounds. All right, let's get to game 2. Louisville Black playing against the pros. Pros had back-to-back games. It was supposed to be the Vets that was going to play the next game, but they were not able to play yesterday. But you got to give it to the pros, man, playing back-to-back games. That just shows, man, that you're a real, legit team, and you're one of those teams that can run. And if you can do that, like that's, to me, that just shows that you're ballers and you're true players that are willing to play back-to-back games and do really whatever it takes to get some run. And that's really what what it looked like yesterday. So Louisville Black had 68. The pros had 79. That was the end score. But as we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, first of all, it was great to see Gabe Hobbs was back. Shout out to Gabe Hobbs. Had an assist early. He played well throughout the game. It was good to see him back. He wasn't on the floor last week. Also, CJ Carter again starting off with the buckets. Big buckets again going into the second game that they played. The pros started off with a 24-7 run. I think they were so high off of the last game that they were really not to be messed with early in the second game. Now the pros started to bring it closer. It was 27-38. The pros were still up, but Louisville Black was closing in. Shout out to Biggie. His nickname is Biggie. He was playing well in the post. Big man down low, the only 7-footer in the league, getting some key rebounds. And I made in my notes, man, back-to-back games did not matter for the pros. They looked just as fresh as what they did in the first one. Jesse Williams was getting to the hole with ease. I'm a big fan of his. He had 20 points in the game. He plays for the TBL Louisville Leopards. And Marcus Brooks, man, that sweet lefty. And if you watch basketball, there's nothing better than a sweet lefty shooter or somebody can get to the hole, do a nice finger roll. Chris Mullen, when you talk about lefties, Tayshaun Prince, when you talk about lefties, just one of those, I think, pure shooters and an impact player, similar to Jared Henderson and Bosovic. Just one of those some of those guys that you know is going to make a difference every single game. So shout out to Marcus Brooks. He had 25 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists. We got a highlight from him and Jesse Williams that we got queued up. The pros, easy buckets to the hole. That was part of, I think, the problem for Louisville Black is being able to stop the pros. But Louisville Black started to cut the lead as we got closer to the end of the game. And I was wondering, are the pros getting tired? That was my question. Because, playing back-to-back games, you may be, fresh and everything, the first game. But that second game getting towards the end, I think they started to get a little tired. But Louisville Black, they cut the lead to 1. They haven't led the whole game. So I'm like, okay, this is it. This is when they're going to push forward and make the comeback. CJ Carter with a smooth move to the hole. The pros just poured it on late. They went 2-0 today. Like I said, back-to-back games. The stat sheet, CJ Carter again with 18 points. I mean, this guy had 24 in the first game, 18 in the second game. Aldrich Hills had 19. He had 21 in the first game, 19 in the second. And then LaMarcus Lachaw had 12 points and 6 assists in the second game. The two big scorers for Louisville Black, like I mentioned, Marcus Brooks and Jesse Williams. Let's get to the highlights so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And this game could have went either way, but the pros pulled away towards the end. Once again, we're talking about week 7 of CYM, Creating Young Minds Undiscovered League. The link below is where you can watch the games, or if you're in Texas, in North Texas, you can watch the games in Louisville. But let's get to the highlights. This first one is Marcus Brooks, like I said, the sweet lefty. It is nothing better than a sweet lefty jumper. I'm telling you, it's like a slice of cheesecake. It's like a hamburger from your favorite place. There's nothing better than a sweet lefty shot. We got another highlight from the pros, Dante Smith. Had a really clear lane to the hole. And these guys were playing above the rim, so that's something you cannot do. We got Jesse Williams. That was a nice dunk. You know, clear lane. If you could give somebody a clear lane, you got to dunk it. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what Jesse Williams did. And that was a couple of highlights there. The next one, the pros. This was, like I said, LaMarcus Lachaw with a nice corner. Actually, that was not the corner three, but that was a three from LaMarcus Lachaw. This is the corner three from Aldrich Hills. Nice move as well. Nice move, man. Nice step back. So that was the second game. The third game was EA Hoops versus the Prospects. One name I got to mention and talk about, you know, right out the gate is Keith Smith. Keith Smith is 18 years old. He's a prep school player. He had 21 points every single week. He continues to get better. He continues to improve on his game. And there's not a lot of, you know, negative I can say. And EA Hoops, man, they continue to grind it out. They've had some tough games throughout this Undiscovered League, but they continue to grind it out. They got a win yesterday against the Prospects. So this was the third game. Also want to give a shout out to Rick Curry. He had a nice and one to start it off. And he's one of those guys that are just so smooth in the post, man. It's like, you know, that sweet English, you know, with a nice hook shot, he would down in the post. He's one of those guys that's going to get his buckets just because he's better in the post game than a lot of other players. First quarter was a good back and forth. Keith Smith, like I have in my notes, man, just continuing to play well. I think the best player every week for EA Hoops. He had 21 points. He's only 18 years old. He's playing with men. You know, that's one thing I really wanted to point out is that in this league, it's a lot of young kids, you know, some of them in high school, some of them maybe not in high school, but it's professional basketball players competing alongside young men, and all of them are inspiring to play professional in the U.S. or around the world. So when you talk about an 18-year-old playing with grown men that are 30, maybe 34, maybe 32, I mean, to me, that just shows like this kid wants it. He wants it, and he wants to play with the very best. And I got a lot of respect. I have a ton of respect for a kid at 18 who is giving his all and honestly wanting to do the best that he can do and help build him up and help give him an opportunity. Shout out to Overton Claiborne. Sorry, I missed your comments. He said you deserve it, talking about the award for IE Sports Radio. You cover sports like the professional like you are. I appreciate that, man. Make sure you check out him also. Overton Claiborne talking with OC. Also, he says go Ravens, which we got the game on right now. We'll keep you guys updated on the score as we go throughout the show. Make sure to comment. Make sure if you're watching it on YouTube to subscribe and click that bell so you can be on top of all the content. We do Reaction Monday. We do a weekend show on Saturdays. And every Monday, we'll be recapping Creating Young Minds Undiscovered League. I'm extremely excited to be able to cover this league because they not only, I think, do a great job, but also they're doing something positive. They're helping to build up young men, and they're giving them opportunities to really achieve their dreams. And to me, that's a great thing. And that's something that I'm all behind and something that I will continue to support and cover. All right, so as we continue to go throughout this game, Abraham Davalos, I've been talking about him for the past couple of weeks, man. This guy is another one of those sharpshooters. You give him the rock, he is going to put it in. He had 10 points yesterday. And then Sir Jalen Davis had some nice move to the bucket. Shout out to him. And so at halftime, the prospects were leading 29-22. EA Hoops actually results in winning the game 55-38. Keith Smith, like I said, with 21. Jaden Pacha with 10 for EA Hoops. And then Rick Curry, I mentioned him at 10 points, 2 rebounds. I do have one highlight from this game. Guess who it's from? I've been talking about him. Keith Smith with a nice 3, nice step back 3. This kid has game, and he's young. He is young at 18 years old. This kid's got game. Check out this highlight. Nice step back. That's the definition of a step back 3 right there. So that was week 7 of Creating Young Minds Undiscovered League. If you're in Lewisville, Texas, you can watch the games live. It'll either be at the Mac Center or the Macedonia Care Center. Make sure to follow Creating Young Minds. You can be on top. Also, follow me at BS3 Radio, all avenues of social media, so you can be on top and find out where the games are going to be located. Or you can watch it, creatingyoungminds.uscreen.io. So you can watch it one of those 2 ways. They'll be back next week. I'm looking forward to it. And just continuing, man. They just continue to put out some top basketball. And I'm looking forward to every single week. At the end of the segment, like I always do, just share the mission for what Creating Young Minds is. They focus on teaching young men about the importance of education, hard work, and being humble in all aspects. And they do it through the sport of basketball. So shout out to Creating Young Minds Basketball, Louisville Leopards, the Basketball League, and the Undiscovered League. So as we move along, we have NFL that's going on right now. Ravens are up 28-20 over the Browns. Can the Browns get a win over this team? Or is Lamar Jackson going to continue to ball out like what he's been doing? People saying he's been having a little bit of a down year. I can definitely understand that. But he's still a top player, and it does not matter. He's still gonna be a top player in this league, and he has all the skills to be able to do it. So it's just a matter of him honestly putting everything all together and having the team that's around him. So we're going to be talking NFL Week 13 as we have a great slate of games from yesterday. Had big numbers from a lot of players, specifically Derrick Henry, who goes off again. Derrick Henry continues to go off. every single week. He's probably only had one down week. I think that's really it. One down week, man. He just continues to ball out. As I'm changing the background, let's move it to the white one. But man, he just continues to ball out. And if you have him in fantasy, you got to be extremely happy. If you got Eric Henry in fantasy, you should be happy about it. And guess what? The Dallas Cowboys got to win. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because this is a team that's playing Andy Dalton's former team. So I'm not surprised that they got the win. And I think this means absolutely nothing, though. I don't think this means anything. I think they are going to continue to struggle, but they had a big win against the Bengals, a really good defensive effort. You know, that's one thing I do have to say. They showed up defensively, which is what you have to do in games. You got to show up defensively. You got to be able to make defensive stops. You cannot continue to just allow teams to just run up the scoreboard on you. That's one thing I have not understood this year. They just continue to allow other teams to dominate them. Not just beat them, but dominate them game after game, play after play, especially in the running game. So I'm going to give props where props are due. They made some big stops. The Bengals did not get over 100 yards. They did not. So I got to give props to that defense. I don't know what it is that made them show up. Maybe just because the Bengals are not that good. They really don't have their star quarterback. But these are games that you should win. So this is a game that they did win. And like I said, I'm going to give props where props are due. We got DeAnthony Thompson. We're going to bring him on here. Let me make sure he's good. Hey,
okay, let's see. Okay.
All right, so we'll get him on here in just a minute. But when it comes down to it, man, if you can get a win when everything has been horrible this year, Dak going down with an injury, Zeke not really playing that well, and you got to win. So Alden Smith with the return, Amari Cooper with a touchdown. You know, they did what they had to do to win this game. And I think the major part of it, though, is the reason why I'm saying this does not matter is because they beat a 2-10-1 Bengals team. Doesn't have Joe Burrow. Running game has not been well. Joe Mixon did not play. AJ Green had 62 yards and a touchdown. T. Higgins, 5 for 49. They don't have Burrow. To me, that's a major reason why the Cowboys won. I mean, that's just a simple fact. And also, this was Andy Dalton's former team. But I am going to yell it loud and proud to the rooftops. Cowboys got to win. They're now 4-9. This lackluster NFC least is continuing to not show like anybody wants to win it but Washington. Washington right now is 6-7. Like they're about to be 500. The Washington football team. And also this was on a day where they beat the 49ers. This was also on a day where Alex Smith went out with an injury. And Dwayne Haskins came in the game at 51 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the running game, I think, was key. J.D. McKissick. And a major part of it was the defense. They got an interception. They also got 2 fumble recoveries. All right, let's bring D'Anthony on. What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I was having a bad connection, so I tried to put up the Wi-Fi. It's working for now, so let's rock with
it. All right, how was your weekend, first of all?
Pretty good. Filmed a game on Friday. Went to a game on Thursday. I went to go see Highland Park play, and that was fun. I've been out there in Highland Park to do some stuff, actually film, but I've never went to their football game, and that was really a blast. So went Thursday night, and then Friday night had a game, and then sure I'll be out there at Globe Life Park chilling on Friday. So that should be a pretty cool experience because I've never seen not Globe Life, but the old field, Old Ranger Ballpark. They're gonna have the playoffs there, so I'm gonna be there Friday. So that should be pretty fun because it's gonna be interesting to see how a baseball field looks as a football field.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice, man. You're doing some really nice games, especially at Highland Park. I know they're a top team in that division that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, one of the linebackers that I seen, man, he's a cat that stood out to me. I looked him up. He was a 3-star committed to Navy. So that just lets you know that, we got good players in this area.
Oh yeah. Texas, period. If anybody knows Texas football, yeah.
I always rep DFW though, but overall Texas, period though.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some NFL games from this week. Also, we're going to talk some college football. First off, like I was talking about, the Cowboys finally got a win. Now, this was against the Bengals, so I don't want to get the Cowboys nation too excited because this really doesn't mean anything. Beating a lowly Bengals team, but a win is a win.
Hold on, Ben. It's kind of choppy.
Okay.
And I can't see you at all. It's like a screen froze. So give me a second.
Okay. All right. So Cowboys, like I said, with a big win. This is a game that they should have won. I'm not surprised at all that they won this game, but it really doesn't mean anything because it's against the Bengals. Let me know how your team did this week, wherever you're tuning in, on Facebook, on Periscope, Twitter, on YouTube. Let me know how your team did this week, and I will definitely give you a shout out. Did this week, and I think that if your team did well, that's a good day. That's a good day when you can go into Monday and be a little bit excited that your team did something good. All right, let's go to another game, the Rams. The Rams putting it on the Patriots. What happened this week? Cam Akers with 171 yards. The Patriots did not have an answer. And Cam Newton was benched. I'm all in for Cam, but I do think it's gonna be tough. I think obviously it's a change in surroundings. I think there's a lot of reasoning for that, but I do think Cam is still, a top tier quarterback, when everything is working out. And I think he can, I think they can redeem themselves. Now, I don't see them going to the playoffs, which I think is going to be rare that the Patriots don't go to the playoffs. I think this is going to be a rare occurrence in a rare situation. But you have the Buffalo Bills at 10-3, and you got the Miami Dolphins at 8-5. So the Patriots are really going to have to pick it up if they're going to, be able to have an opportunity to go to the playoffs. But they got slacked. I guess there's no other way around it. They got slacked by the Rams. Jared Goff had 1 touchdown. Let's go to Texans Bears. Trubisky with 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery, shout out to David Montgomery, had a big day, a big run of 80 yards. I had him in fantasy, I had him in DraftKings. No, it didn't help me, though. I still lost. So, it is what it is. I'm just giving up money, which I do not like doing that. I can be a cheapskate, and I do not like giving up money, because when you give up money, that's money out of your pocket. I was so happy that the Rams won, even though I'm a Chargers fan. This is from Taryn Rodriguez. Even though I'm a Chargers fan, I'm also happy that the Chargers won yesterday. Ben, both of our college football and NFL teams won this weekend. Yes, that's a great weekend. Not only, and I'm going to get to my Tar Heels in a minute, but not only did they win, but they put it on. They put it on Miami like nothing, man. They put it on Miami. Patriots cannot win the AFC East. Yeah, it's not happening. This is the Bills' division at this point. I don't know for how long, but it's their division right now. The Bears win big, 36-7 over the Texans. I'm not surprised. I'm a big fan of Deshaun Watson, but he just does not have the full team around him. And the former coach pretty much, I believe, crippled them. They traded for a running back that has not really been able to stay healthy. They don't have Kenny Stills. Will Fuller looks like he was out. And Trubisky had a career day, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 113 yards rushing for a touchdown. And then Allen Robinson, 123 yards and a touchdown. When it comes down to it, that's pretty much it right there. Taryn says, I finally won money in DraftKings. Even though I finished second, I won some money bottom line. The bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Yeah, as long as you get that first or second spot, that's a good look. So, yeah, be happy. Definitely be happy about that. Because otherwise, that's a hard, to me, that's a bad situation when you don't win anything, which I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. All right, let's bring D'Anthony back in. Hey, we good?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. It's very choppy, man, and it's funny because I can't see you, but if we're able to do audio and you can hear me clear, we can rock with it. I just be like I'm talking without seeing you.
Okay, yeah, I can see you clearly and hear you clearly. So, yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Real quick, give me your thoughts on the Cowboys game. They get a win finally against the Bengals.
I mean, man, it's still a little choppy. I mean, I think this as a team that there are right now with the young guns and the pieces and dealing with the injuries of Dak, I think you want to see courage. You want to see some wins down the stretch. You want to see what can we take into the off season. With that, because with that record, I want to see how they're going to draft. So at this time of the year, to me, just my opinion, you're evaluating going into next season. And that's that. So the game, you're happy that you got the win because it showed that you're still fighting. But I think the Cowboys are in a position where, man, we're going to have to get ready for next year because it, to me, just looking at it, it doesn't look this good when you look at it from a seasonal standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a it's a tough situation especially when you're dealing with injuries. But I think you're right. You want to see your team fight and at least put up a fight and try to get as many games as possible. At least try to be the spoiler or something.
Mm-hmm.
The other game,
and it's still
oh, go ahead.
It's still a little bit choppy. Can you hear me still clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. We're good.
It's choppy. Okay.
All right. One other game, the Chiefs end up beating the Dolphins 33-27. The Dolphins gave them a run, man. The Dolphins are not a team to really talk down on, especially with the way Tua's been playing. Yeah, Mahomes, again, having a big day, though, 393, 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce going to get his regardless. But to me, the big story out of this game is Miami is a real team. Tua threw for 316, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. Now, this is a game, Ben, that I thought I had a lot of intrigue in. The reason I had a lot of intrigue with this one is because who is Tua? What is Tua? And I mean that because I was not on the Tua bandwagon, and a lot of people were. A lot of people were really big time Tua. I've heard some claims that he might be this and that. I didn't see it, but I did see a good player at Alabama, so I wanted to see how he was going to do. And then with the other side, the Chiefs are really loaded. I think when you're talking about a Ferrari, when you're talking about
All right, looks like we lost D'Anthony. We'll see if we can get him back on here in a minute. But I think a game for Miami, to me, this was a big game because it shows that they can run. They can run with the real legit teams. And Tua is just continuing, I think, to get better week after week. And Mike Gisick with 2 touchdowns at the tight end spot. Let's bring D'Anthony back.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, this connect just a real bad connection we're trying to labor through. But if you can hear me, what I was saying was with the Chiefs, you have a Ferrari, you have Hill, you have Kelsey, and I want to say this: he is the best tight end in the game, and it's a pleasure to watch him play, man. You have him, you have Le'Veon, then you have the backup, the rook. So, but I think sometimes Patrick Mahomes, sometimes he kind of plays where he kind of plays around and then he gets serious. Sometimes I wish they can really put the hammer on teams early and just get them out the way. But you got to give Miami a lot of credit. You got to give the Dolphins a lot of credit. When you're talking about Brian, the coach, when you're talking about turning that team around, when you're talking about Howard, a good cornerback. He's a good cornerback in this league, and we seen that yesterday with the interception. So I think Miami is an up and coming team.
All right, so he's having some really bad connection issues. We're just going to keep the show going. Tua also had a rushing touchdown, 6 carries, 24 yards. And also shout out to Lynn Bowden Jr. And then my man, Mac Hollins. Mac Hollins, a former Tar Heel. I think he may be playing tight end. I think he's still, actually looks like he's still playing wide receiver. But the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. Mark my words. The Dolphins are going to make the playoffs. They're right now 8-5. The Patriots are not really able to get it together. So at this point, you got to go with the Dolphins, I think, to make the playoffs. Cardinals with a big win, 26-7 over the Giants. The Giants are now 5-8. Cardinals are 7-6. Kenyon Drake with a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 136, 9 receptions. DeAndre is still that dude. I think he's the best wide receiver in the game. You could say it's Julio Jones, but Julio is not able to stay healthy. You could say Tyreek Hill, which I think you could put that in a conversation. But DeAndre Hopkins, if you talk about wide receiver, he has the best hands in the league. I would put Tyreek Hill as a close second. But Tyreek, if you talk about speed, I mean, obviously, if you've seen any of the highlights, the blazing speed that this guy has is second to none. Nobody's catching this guy. Doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't even think it's a cheetah. I don't think a cheetah can catch him. And obviously, a cheetah is the fastest animal in the animal kingdom, but I don't think a cheetah can catch him. His speed is unmatched. So I would put him at a second. But Cardinals with a win. Kyler Murray, 244 and a touchdown. Kenyon Drake, 80 yards and a touchdown. And the Cardinals with a big win, a win that they needed. And when it comes down to it, I think Kyler Murray was playing well when it possibly an MVP, but he's falling off. He's falling off a little bit. Shout out to the SK Sports Podcast Show. That's Sean Kieran. He said Adams is a really close second too. Great point. Great point. I like Devontae Adams. I really do. Now I do think because he plays with Aaron Rodgers, he definitely gets put on a higher tier. But I don't know. I don't think I can put him right there. I can't put him right there. I would probably put him definitely top 5. But you make a really good point there. Moving right along, Buccaneers with a win over the lowly Vikes. The lowly Vikings. Dalvin Cook, 22-102 in a touchdown. Dalvin Cook is going to continue to eat up yards. He's going to continue to do it. Week in, week out. Ronald Jones, 18 for 80. Tom Brady, 196 and 2 touchdowns. And Ronald Jones, man, people need to stop sleeping on Ronald Jones. If y'all still sleeping on him, be careful, because he not only did he get the starting job, but with Shady McCoy there and with my man, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but the guy that used to play for the Jaguars, he swooped up that spot. And honestly, I thought when my man was coming over there, I thought he was going to take up that spot, Leonard Fournette. I thought Leonard Fournette was going to take that spot. And Ronald Jones, and more importantly, Bruce Arians said, no, Ronald Jones is our running back. Straight up. And I was like, really? Ronald Jones? Who like Mike Jones. Who is Ronald Jones? That's what I was asking. Who is Ronald Jones? And he's been showing, week in and week out, running game and otherwise. This guy can truly play the running back position, also catching out of the backfield. And I think one of those top athletes, man. You gotta give your respect and your props to this guy. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette are RB1 and 2 for the Bucs. Yeah, but honestly, Ronald Jones is taking that spot over. And Leonard Fournette is like a distant RB2. Ronald Jones is a former USC running back. Fight on. I did not know that. Thank you for that information. I did not know that he used to play for USC. Yeah, you got me learning some things today. Also, he's he went to high school in Texas. Learned something else new about this guy at McKinney North. So he looks like he grew up here in Texas. So shout out to Ronald Jones II. If you're listening to this, love to get you on the show one day. But yeah, Ronald Jones is really, I think, one of the top running backs right now in the league. And the numbers, speak for itself. Derrick Henry, though, is at the top of the heap, man. 1,532 yards. A distant second by 200 yards is Dalvin Cook for 1,352. James Robinson with 1,035. And these 3 running backs, and shout out to James Robinson. Like, who knew who James Robinson was up until this year? I guess you just have to be a fan of that team to be considered, a fan and paying close attention to him. But big ups to the 5 of those guys: Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, James Robinson, Ronald Jones the second. I said numbers don't lie. He's 4th. Kenyon Drake is 5th when it comes to rushing yards. All right, let's get to some other games from Sunday. Also, we'll be talking some college football here in a few minutes. Broncos get a win. Broncos get a win just like the Cowboys get a win over the Carolina Panthers. For some reason, I thought the Carolina Panthers would have had a good defensive outing. But guess what? They didn't. And that pretty much messed up my DraftKings league again. Teddy Bridgewater had the most passing yards with 283. Melvin Gordon had 68 yards rushing. And K.J. Hamler with a big day, 2 touchdowns. Former Penn State wide receiver doing his thing. And that also means on the flip side that Jordan Rosario, who's a good friend of mine, he's a frequent guest. Drew Lock had 4 touchdowns on the day. So shout out to the Broncos with a win. Moving right along, big win. The Titans over the Jaguars, no surprise there. Derrick Henry eating up the yards, 215 yards. The Colts with a big win over the Raiders, 44-27. Derek Carr had a big day, though. 313, 2 touchdowns. Shout out to Jonathan Taylor, 150 and 2 touchdowns. I had him in my DraftKings, so thank you for that. Even though I didn't win, still, I got to say thank you. You helped me out. No surprise here. The Seahawks demolished the Jets 40-3. Russell Wilson, 206 and 4 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 6 for 61. And Russ just being Russ, and the Jets just being the Jets. It's no other way to put that one. A division rivalry that we see every single year. Packers go up against the Lions. NFC North battle. It's a back and forth type game. Who would you have to win? No surprise. If you are surprised, you need to check your pulse. Packers get a win over the Lions. They're now 10-3. Aaron Rodgers with 293 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 69 yards. Devontae Adams, 7 for 115. Aaron Rodgers lighting it up. That bad man, you gotta pay your respects to Aaron Rodgers at all times. And then I think the game of the day. And I'm really heartbroken that I'm going to say this, but this was the game of the day and a huge upset by the Eagles. And if he is listening to this live, or if you're listening to this when it's over via the podcast or via YouTube or wherever, my man, Easy of the Speak Easy podcast called it. He called it. He said he thought the Eagles are going to get upset. Jalen Hurts is giving this team a spark. I've been calling it. I've been saying it. Nobody want to listen to me. Nobody wants to listen to me. But I've been calling it, and I've been saying it. And Jalen Hurts is giving this team a spark that they need. 167, 1 touchdown. Miles Sanders with a huge day, 115, 2 touchdowns. And the Eagles won a game. Not only did they win a game, but they won a game against one of the best teams in the NFL, the Saints. Taysom Hill threw 1 pick. He had 291, 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, 11 for 50 for 1 touchdown. Michael Thomas, 8 for 84. But I think the biggest news of the day was Jalen Hurts is giving this team a spark. And that's exactly what they need. Let's bring in Anthony.
Hey, I got the Wi-Fi. I got the Wi-Fi connected.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I can finally see you, brother. Yes, sir.
All right. Good. A big upset. We're talking about Saints and Eagles. Man, yeah. Eagles with a big win. And, we've been talking about Carson Wentz, over the past couple of weeks, but I think Jalen Hurts is giving them a spark. What do you think?
Well, word came out today that I think one of the players said that Jalen Hurts provided that leadership. and I don't want to quote her, but I feel like he said it was almost to make it seem like he was providing leadership that Carson Wentz didn't. And if you remember on the show, I don't know if it was last week or a while ago, I talked about Carson Wentz before the season started. Somebody pointed out that they didn't believe in Carson Wentz, and kind of like a rumor or whatever, they doubted his leadership skills. And I said that whenever that was, and that seemed like that's true. Seems like it's something there. I just want to see how Jalen Hurts looks as the season goes on. I mean, I want to see this play out to see if they really believe in him.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is what I've been wanting to see. And you just look at how Carson Wentz has been playing, and at some point you got to give the ball to Jalen Hurts just to see what's going to happen. If he had a horrible game and they end up losing by 40, then you can put Wentz back in. But it looks like next week Jalen's going to be starting. I think they're playing the Cardinals. So, like, I think this could be part of the future that we're seeing. They drafted him, and when they drafted him, people were saying, "Why would you do that?" And the fact is, Carson Wentz hadn't been adding up with him. So I think that's the big thing right there.
Yeah. So as the season goes on, and he's a guy that is capable. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a guy that's calculated guy. So I think Philly is not a bad situation. I think Doug Peterson is a good coach. So as he continues to develop, let's see what becomes of him. But I'm rooting for him because he is a good kid.
Yeah, he really is, and he got an opportunity to play at quarterback in Oklahoma, and he did what he had to do. He did the same thing at Alabama, and he's gonna get his run. He's gonna get his opportunity. Shout out to Speakeasy Sports. Thank you for coming through. Which he was the one. I already said it. He was the one that called the upset. I was not expecting it to go that way, so I'm gonna give props. Shout out to my man H-Rap B, Into the Bench podcast. Make sure to check that out on Spreaker. Let me see. Yep, I did say who called it, so I'm definitely gonna give you your props on that one. A lot of people didn't expect that. All right, let's go to the next game, which we got Ravens and Browns on right now. It's 34-28. That looks like a real good back and forth type of game, which I think that should be. Chargers over the Falcons. This is the two lowly teams, so I'm not going to dive too deep into that one. But we are going to talk about the Washington football team, which is 1 win away from going 500, which is a big thing to talk about in the NFC least. That's a big thing to talk about. And I think the biggest storyline here, though, is Alex Smith is out. I don't know. I think it was a calf injury, and it's on the leg that he broke. So who knows, where this is going. But Dwayne Haskins got in and played. He got sacked one time. He threw for 51 yards. I think the running game is going to be huge in the defense, going forward for Washington. But they seem like the team that is going to go to the playoffs in the NFC East.
The thing with Washington is, and especially with this Haskins situation, especially that really put him in an odd situation. Nobody's going to say this, and it's going to be come in and do your job as usual. But I'm going to tell you something, Ben. When you don't have the confidence of your coach, when you don't have the confidence of those who are, in administration, sometimes that can be a fragile situation for a young quarterback. So that's something to watch out for in the sense that he is probably going to play going forward because Alex Smith came back from this injury. If you didn't think, and I mean, it's kind of what it is, but if you don't think it was a probability that he could get hurt because he had just came back, then, you're not thinking that was a strong possibility that he could get hurt. So I think it's going to be Haskins going forward. I think the Redskins are an interesting team. They have talent. They have some, they have their receiver, and we all know who that is. They have some pieces on defense, some young pieces. But man, it's still something. They really need they need something. But I got to give them a lot of credit for fighting and winning these games. It'll be interesting to see what Haskins does going forward in the sense that he knows that, it's almost like he's on a hot seat, and this is his second year, right?
Right.
So it's an interesting situation with him.
Yeah, to me it's almost like they didn't give him a shot, and to me that upsets me because you pick him in the first round, the 15th pick, and then you're like, oh, we don't like you anymore. Like, what? Why would you draft him? And then the second point is, why didn't you just trade him at the deadline? If you were so I don't want the kid, or I'm gonna put him at third on the depth chart, why didn't you just trade him? And I think this is gonna be his time to shine, because now he's pretty much gonna get the keys, and this could be a potential, playoff opportunity for them. And based on Alex Smith's injury, he was replaced by Haskins. Riviere says his injury is still being evaluated. So we'll see what happens with Alex Smith. But at this point, if I'm him, if I'm his wife, if I'm his kids, I'm like, just sit down, okay? You don't want to make it even more bad than what it is.
Hey, bro, get on the sideline, dog, man. It's time to hang it up. You had a great run going back to college.
Coach, do something else, because I cannot take it. If he somehow gets injured like the way he did, I can't take it again, because that injury was so gruesome. Like,
but I'm gonna tell you though, but I'm gonna tell you that still put Haskins in such a sticky situation. So a quarterback needs confidence. So we're gonna see how confident and how tough he is mentally to be able to battle back from being a starter, being on the bench, getting back being a starter. It's gonna be interesting to see how he handles this going forward.
Yeah, that's going to be a really big story, I think, to watch as the season goes along. But they get a big win. They're in the driver's seat in the NFC East, and we'll see how they go. The other game, which was a Sunday night game, Steelers-Bills. This was a really good game, and to me, I think the biggest storyline here is that the Bills are for real. They give the Steelers their second loss. I wasn't very high on the Steelers, just because there was a lot of shaky games that they've had, week after week after week, and they were bound to, get a couple losses. And they got 2 interceptions on Big Ben. So, when it comes down to it, if you're able to lock down the running game and lock down Big Ben, I mean, that's your recipe for winning the game. But Josh Allen with a big day. Shout out to Stephon Diggs, 130 yards. Cole Beasley, the former Dallas Cowboy, had 5 for 41. But to me, the big story is the Bills. The Bills are for real.
Yeah. The thing with this, and I'm going to be honest, Josh Allen is starting to wake me up. When you're talking about a guy with a live arm, let's not kid ourselves. Probably the second biggest arm to Patrick Mahomes. And if he said, he'll probably say he can throw farther. But 80, 85 yards. So you're talking about a big time quarterback that is emerging in front of our eyes, because I didn't believe in him like that. I didn't know of him like that, but I said, okay, I give him a chance. But just to see his progression, him taking a progression or whatnot, they're going to be a dangerous team, because in every level of football, you need a great quarterback. And for them to have a good quarterback, Stephon Diggs, one of the top route runners in the game, this Bills team is going to be scary.
Yeah, and I mentioned it. They're going to win. They're going to win the NFC. The AFC East. I mean, they're in the driver's seat, and there's no way possible, at this point, that the Patriots are going to win that division. And I don't think the Dolphins are going to do it either. So the Bills, man, they got a really good opportunity right now. Hopefully they can redeem themselves from all of those Super Bowl losses. Now, I don't see them going to the Super Bowl, but maybe they can at least go on a run.
Now I can see. I don't know how the divisions are going to play who, and maybe this is not possible. Maybe it is, but could you see them versus Tennessee? I mean, them versus Tennessee.
Yeah,
is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Depends on how the seeding goes and everything. But really, I want to see them go up against Kansas City, which I know they already did Did they beat? I think they beat Kansas City too.
Yeah, but I don't.
No, they
Just up
lost.
and down. I think Kansas City is the better team when it comes to that matchup. I think the Tennessee matchup to me will be closer, but I think Kansas City is a much overall top to bottom better than Buffalo.
Yeah, and Speakeasy agrees with you. However, I think the Titans have the best recipe to dethrone the Chiefs. I think so too. I mean, and the Chiefs got the target on their back. Obviously, they're the champs, so they got to be the ones to defend that. The game currently right now, the Browns are driving. They could possibly score and go ahead. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted on that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got the game in the background too.
Yeah, I do. I was wondering what you were looking at. I was like, man, do Ben got to go? He keeps looking at the throw. Somebody messing with him. But this, I'm gonna tell you, I wanted to comment on this game. It's interesting. Baker Mayfield being, I mean, okay quarterback, good. I mean, he's short, man, and you can see the effect of him getting these balls knocked down, balls hitting the ground. I'm really reevaluating where I put Baker. I mean, he got this team in a position to tie it right now. But overall, to me, I don't know how I really feel about him as a franchise quarterback. Now he's scrambling right now, and he just scored a touchdown. So and this is what comes with it. He'll do this. It's kind of tough to gauge Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's just one of those quarterbacks, which I'm a little bit delayed than you, it looks like. But yeah, he's one of those quarterbacks where you don't know what you're going to get week in and week out. And when you got to rely on him, I think that's where the problem lies. But with the running game, they need to depend on that run as long as possible. Chubb and Kareem Hunt, that's one of the two, probably the best combo right now in the league.
That's a combo that wears on you. You're talking about two backs that's 220 pounds plus, probably. That the later that gets, those guys get those first downs. You got to hit them with that run game. And then to be honest, you're gonna need your quarterback to make a play, like Baker Mayfield just did. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but just like he made a play, whether it's a scramble or whether it's a throw, you're gonna need your quarterback to step up in these big moments.
Yeah, and he did have to scramble too. That wasn't an easy run in. So. Shout out to Baker. Taryn Rodriguez says Raiders beat the Chiefs, but they've now lost 3 of the 4. I hope the Chargers spoil the Raiders' playoff hopes. Yeah, when it comes down to it, man, the Raiders are so up and down. That went over the Chiefs. I don't want to say it's a fluke, but it looks like a fluke. It looks like they got lucky. Every dog has his day, like the term is, and every wrong clock is correct 2 times a day. So I think that's what that comes down to. They can also any QB with those running backs. You got a good point there. They could plug in anybody, any quarterback in that situation. You do have a good point. Let's move on to college football, which first one out the gate we could talk about. We'll do a prediction on the conference championship games. But North Carolina with a big win over Miami. The story has always been, is Miami back? Is Miami back? Is Miami back? Well, to answer that question, no. And I'm a North Carolina fan, but the fact that they put up 62, where is the defense? What happened to it? Where is it? Is it lost? What happened? And we talk about dynamic running backs. Michael Carter had 308 yards on the ground. That's probably not a record because I think Samaje Perine may be the one that still has that record as far as most rushing yards. And then Javonte Williams had 236 yards for North Carolina. So give me your take on this game.
Well, when you're talking about North Carolina, first let's start with Miami. Actually, when you're talking about Miami, my question with them is what's going on. And the funny thing is, that's the question we've been asking for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. What's going on? They got King. And it's interesting how he plays. He'll make some good plays, and then he'll make some plays where it's like, okay, so they're at a point where I really wonder, even looking on the outside, what do you do to fix Miami? I think that's a legitimate question because from what it looks like, they went through a couple coaches. Let's be honest. They've had Shannon. Did they have Rich Rod? I don't think not Rich Riley, the other
No,
gentleman,
they
the
had
guy from Temple,
Rick
right?
Mark. They had Mark Rick
Yeah.
there. I think
Then they
Mark
had a
Rick was
young
there
guy from
before.
Temple.
Maybe let me pull it up. But they've
Yeah,
had a run of the mill of coaches though.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that lets me know it's something there, and I don't know what it is. So it's interesting. It's interesting that they're in that position. And then as far as North Carolina, you got to give Mac Brown that credit. I'm gonna tell you this, Ben. North Carolina as a region has has a lot of talent. North Carolina produces a lot of talent.
yep,
Even when you talk about North Carolina, the Tar Heels, they got a history of some really good running backs. So they're going back to their formula. They're going back to who they are. They're going back to their roots. And I commend them because I didn't see this fast. I've had some teams in the past from North Carolina that I was excited about, but I didn't know this year them boys are going to be balling like this.
yeah. Me either. I was expecting them to get, a few wins. Maybe go 500, but they're 8-3 right now, and to beat
Yeah,
Miami like that. That's definitely a testament to Mac Brown. And I was a little questionable
yeah,
on them hiring Mac Brown just because he's older. I thought he lost a step with recruiting, and he looks like he's got a new fire underneath him, which he's a North Carolina alum, I believe. So this is really like his, this is his new project that he's working on, and he's showing that, hey, I still got it. I haven't lost a step yet.
yeah. He's invigorated after that journey of him being an analyst on ESPN.
Yep.
And that seemed to do it for these guys. It's like they go get that job at ESPN or Fox, or stay there for a little while, get that fire lit, and they're back on the trail coaching.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see if another coach is next.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into that. The Urban Meyer story, which continues to evolve. They said they're keeping Tom Herman, which I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist a little bit when it comes to college football. You have to say you're going to keep Tom and Herman. You have to say you're going to keep them. They're playing well, but I guarantee you, there's always stuff going on in the background in college football. It's never like a
Always.
clear answer. It's
Big
never.
money.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
So,
and see, I don't know if were you still asking the question? My bad. I didn't want to cut you off.
no. Go ahead.
Okay. I think that was he the AD, I think, is Chris Delaconte. He came out and said, Herman, the coach, whatever his statement. But it was somebody else that was he's kind of like a little analyst that's connected to the program, said that his sources said that was like a save face type of statement. That the big money donors didn't want him to say. And they said that he just said that. So it's kind of a situation where subsequently it's meaningless. It's meaningless for him to say he our coach because behind the scenes they're probably still working. And from what I hear, the Urban Meyer situation is still in play. So I know to some people that sound crazy, but I'm not giving up on it because I know how these things can be. And Urban Meyer has been acting very interesting on the Big Noon Network kickoff shows. To me, when it comes to certain topics, it's like, okay, Urban, you really want to coach? Or when it comes to Texas, why are you always smirking and turning red and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, they get that itch. We talked about Mac Brown. We talked about all these guys. They go into the booth and they're like, it's to me, to them, I think that's a cushy job and they like it. But then it's like, man, I'm seeing these guys out there coaching. And I think they get that urge, like I can still go out there and do this probably better than the other guy. And I think he's getting that itch. I think he will come back. It's just a matter of what team and when. But to me, Texas is, the best, I think, situation. But also, I think when it comes down to it as well, is that a lot of people saying Notre Dame is his dream job. But the fact is, they just signed Brian Kelly to an extension, if I'm not mistaken. So he's not going to go there.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I want to ask you this. This perfect timing. So I don't know. Can we pull up and see if he got that contract? Because I've heard a rumor that what if they go out now this is a rumor, so whatever. But what if it was Brian Kelly? Would you want Brian Kelly? How do you feel about Brian Kelly at a Texas? Just throwing it out there in general.
Interesting. Let me bring on another guest. I didn't think he was gonna come on tonight. Al,
what's going on, man? Good evening.
Okay. I
What's
was wondering when he was gonna be back on the show. How funny. That's how that works.
So we talking about Texas and we talking about college coaches, but let me look up Brian Kelly and Al, since you jumping in, what do you think of this Urban Meyer story? You know, him going to Texas or him coming back? Period.
Man, there's always rumors about Urban Meyer, kind of like Bill Cowher, man. You know, the coaches every year got an itch to come back, and they trying to link somebody somewhere over here, over there. Man, I think Urban is enjoying chilling, doing college football Saturdays. I mean, the coaches, it's like players. Players have the itch to come back. Coaches have the itch to coach. But I think I look back at the issues that he had at Florida with his health. Then he went to Ohio State. Then he had the issues with the family situations going on. So Texas is not the same job that it once was 10, 15 years ago, number one. As we see with a Tom Herman, and I can't think of the coach before that Charlie Strong, the Mac Brown, you're dealing with the stress of the boosters more than the doggone players. And you're dealing with pleasing the base, man. I wouldn't, if I was Urban, I wouldn't take it. I'll be mad shoot. I'll chill out right where I'm at Fox on Saturday mornings, talking football, getting on Colin Cowherd show every now and then, talking college football. And that's just me. Now, I mean, because the reason why he left Ohio State the last time was because of fatigue and health. That was the reason why he left football and retired. If I was to see him go somewhere, it would be maybe an NFL job, because you don't really have, which is crazy. The professional level is not as much, from listening to coaches, it's not as much stressful as it is a college job. You look at the Pete Carrolls of the world. When Pete Carroll was at USC, from leaving USC going over to at the Seahawks, you have less players to manage. Pretty much, these are grown men getting up, going to work, coming home. You're not worried about boosters in the back pocket, who putting what amount of money on this person's pocket over here, over that person's pocket right there. You got all of those avenues. So if I was Urban, maybe I would. If you have the itch to coach, I would rather see him coach in the NFL. If you look at, matter of fact, Bob Stoops came out of retirement and coached in the XFL for the Dallas team. And before it folded, he was the head coach. He just had the itch to coach. And so you want to put yourself in a place where you still be able to live and enjoy life, where you're not stress free. I mean, where it's less stressful. So
yeah. Real quick before you respond, D'Anthony, Terrence says Urban Meyer is either going to USC or the Chargers.
Oh my goodness!
Now USC is the appetizing place, but the recruiting's not there anymore. Now Urban Meyer could probably bring it, but go ahead.
You know, now look, I'm gonna bring this thing home in the totality of everything. So USC, okay, what do? You're gonna fire Clay, the coach right now, a coach that has just won a game against UCLA that's got them over 500 going to the championship game. Probably not. So that's job not available. I think another thing with the Texas job, even if he don't take it, or even if he do, if Texas offer him $84 million, I still think that's hard to turn down. And I think that but Urban still wants to coach. I don't know if it'll be Texas or not, but he still does. And we could say, well, just chill, Urban. But we got to know coaches are wired different. He's probably bored. He's probably itching to get back into it, even though it's kind of risky. That's what he's known his whole life. So anybody that really know coaches, they know he's probably gonna get back into it. It's just really a matter of when.
Yeah, I think that's it. And to me, like the thing about his health, Like I don't want to not believe it. But I'm just saying you had like a health issue here, then you had another health issue here, but then in every place he's went, he's had scandals too. Besides Utah, I don't know of one at Utah, but I do know of one everywhere else. So
yeah,
I don't know if this maybe it's stress. Maybe that's what the health issue is. Which obviously there's a lot of stress in coaching, but still, like when controversy follows you or issues follow you, eventually it's going to catch up to you, which I think it did at Ohio State. And then
I'm glad you brought that up because the issues at Florida, Florida, the issues with the assistants at Ohio State. I don't even think we don't really fully understand the impact of what really happened. I mean, the news is going to only tell us so much. But the lives of the families, like with that assistant coach at Ohio State, her life was in danger, and you still kind of turned a blind eye to it. In so many words, said, "Oh, he's Woody Hayes' grandson. We'll try to keep this under the rug and then lie about it and make it seem like it's all good." My thing to add to it, if coaches do have that itch, but I want to see what he does, like if he wants to go to like the NFL. That's what I would like to see. And that whole thing with USC, to me, it's like you have a pretty decent coach. I think USC it's the glamour of Hollywood. It's the glamour of having all the celebrities on the sideline. I believe, man, they gotta. If you want to bring that type of stuff back, I don't know if bringing a Urban Meyer in can help that. I mean, I believe you have the right person right now who is at least winning games. I think, aren't they in the Pac-12 title game on Friday night coming up?
Yeah, they and see that's why I don't think how can you get Urban if you're already winning. Not saying that that's never happened. Now it's been coaches that have a winning record and get fired, but I think that's a risky move if you're USC because you really don't have a grounds to fire your coach right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Real quick update on the score. Ravens just scored, got a 2-point conversion. They're up 42-35. As we're talking college football, we got DeAnthony Thompson. We got my man Al High. Man, great to see both of you guys on the show tonight. It's always a good thing. All right, so, a couple of scores. Alabama beats Arkansas, no surprise there. The LSU. Now, my question is to both of you guys is, what happened to Florida? Florida, to me, was in a driver's seat to get one of those four spots. And Kyle Trask, to me, number one, is out of the Heisman, out of the Heisman list. And then number two, like, you got to beat LSU, which LSU is not the same team. They're not the same team as last year. Obviously, they lost 5 games. But it comes down to it being a division game, and I think maybe that's the reason why. But Al, I'll go to you first. What was your thoughts on this game?
I was disappointed in Florida. Florida overlooked its LSU team because they saw the struggle that LSU was struggling with at quarterback. And when you lose both your offensive and defensive coordinator, when you lose all your starters from last year's national championship team, and then the beat down they've taken week in and week out, pretty much struggling with Missouri, struggling at Texas A&M, and getting smoked by Alabama. Like they looked at that and said, okay, we come in here and man, we ain't really got to worry about nothing. And pretty much they was like the y'all remember the story of the tortoise and the bunny rabbit and the rabbit
tortoise in the hair,
in the hair, yeah, and took a nap, and all of a sudden he hears, man, crowd cheering, he trying to win the race. That's what happened, man, because there's absolutely no excuse that they should have lost that game, and it shouldn't have even been that close either. They should have blew them boys out. So we also got to give credit to where credit is due, because LSU did come in there with their backs against the wall, and Ed Orgeron rallied his players and brought the best out of them. So, and that's what a championship coach does, is bring the best out of your players. So when Florida play, if I'm not, Florida's in the champion, is in the East, is the championship, right? Going up Alabama. That's correct, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they play Alabama.
They was looking ahead to Alabama. Alabama gonna take care of business because that's what so.
That's what Nick Saban does. Nick Saban was like, "Oh, okay, you looking forward to us? Don't worry about us."
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, Florida was overlooking them, but when you dealing with a team like LSU, like I said earlier, on my video, that's a team that got talent. Even the guys on their bench, which they had a red shirt freshman that was like 6'2" at corner. I'm like, dude, you got a 6'2" corner, as a freshman playing that, and he's way down at the bench. That, bro, they're talented. So when you facing a team like Florida, like a Florida State, like some of these teams that are bad in their record, they're still talented because they got some players that still going to probably play on the next level, even when they have a bad year, just because of their brand. So they overlooked them. But it's really no excuse. But yet you can see how it happened playing a SEC type of team in LSU. You can't let your guard down. This game goes to the coaching. And I've been very critical of LSU coaching as well, but I got to give them credit for rallying their team. Them boys were ready for this game.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, when you play these rivalry games, which anything in the SEC is really a rivalry game, is that teams are going to play up. They're going to play up to their competition, and they want to be the spoiler. And I think that's definitely what they did. But let's, as we're moving along to the championship games, we got Oregon. Now, look, nobody, and I want to get you, I want to get your thoughts on this. I think we talked about this, Anthony, last week, but should the Pac-12 even have a ranked team this year? To me, it doesn't make any sense if you're 3-2 and you're in a championship game, or you're 5-0 and you're ranked at all. To me, I'm a little salty on that.
Look, cut the whole thing. This has been a nightmare. Cut the whole dog. This is all about a money grab to get people in, because now all of a sudden you all decided, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, you all decided, because of safety of players, we're not going to play our season. And then you see the SEC, you see the Big 12, you see the ACC playing games. Oh, all of a sudden, they're getting tested, none. Well, now let's play. And you done had a crap show each week, because the 8 games you play, you barely played 4 of them. If I'm not mistaken, I think Arizona State really played 3 or 4 games. Well, they won their first game last week and blew out Arizona. So that's what I think. I think this whole thing is a money grab, crap show. Man, it would have been nice to see like these middle schools, like a Liberty, a Coastal Carolina, get up in there and do something with it, man. This other stuff, man, with these 5 games, man, we don't. It's boring. Like this is not exciting. Like, okay, yeah, we watching it just to see what's going to happen, but it's like, man, this is not really the best out here right now. You're saying that this is the number 1 team in the country at 5-0 or 4-1, and this brand is terrible. And you could tell, like coming in at the last minute, you could tell the difference from a team starting out in September and a team right now. Yeah, if they getting that, if whoever wins the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, whoever gets in that championship game, man, they're gonna get ran over, unless you're Ohio State. Now, Ohio State is a different monster. But overall, y'all, look, it's a money grab.
I think to be fair though, we gotta be balanced when we look at this, because you got these players that want to play. So if it's a condensed season, it looks stupid. Y'all playing 4 games, it doesn't look good. But think about the seniors. Think about the guys that really want to play football, even if the season is crazy. So just looking at it from a player's perspective, I don't care how it looks. I don't like it. It sucks that you're canceling games. It sucks that you only got 4 games. You started middle of the year. All that sucks. I still think if you can play, you got to play. And I think majority of the players would say that too. So, whether it's a money thing or not, Yeah, but that's the politics of this whole thing. But nevertheless, the players want to play, so I have no problem with it. If USC win the Pac-12 with how many games they win, but I think it's up to them, and I don't have no problem with them playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think a lot of players wanted to still play, and there's been a lot of COVID tests. There's been positive tests, and really, I guess the thing is put the top teams against the top teams, and really the only way we can truly tell which teams are the top teams is by their record and who they play. But there's been a lot of in division, games. The Pac-12 is only playing the Pac-12. The SEC is only playing the SEC. I think that all of them really are doing the same thing. So, and really the top four is gonna be the same that it pretty much is always been. I think that fourth spot, which we're gonna talk about that one in a minute, but obviously it's gonna be Bama number one. Clemson's gonna be on there, and Notre Dame's gonna be there. But we do have the ACC championship game, which is gonna kind of throw things off. So outside looking in, we got Texas A&M, Cincinnati, and Indiana, and then Coastal Carolina. They're ninth. They're 11-0. But they got a long shot, I think.
Let me say this real quick. I think this goes to show you that if the playoffs should be expanded. To me, it should be 8 teams. Do I think those teams got a legitimate chance? I don't know, to be honest. But they have a right. If you go undefeated, you have a right. So that's number one. I think it's going to come down to Bama and Clemson, man. I think they the two best teams in this whole thing. I am interested to see Bama. I am interested to see Notre Dame versus Clemson. I don't think they can beat Clemson, not with Trevor Lawrence. And if he's going out this year, I don't see him going out with a loss against Notre Dame this year. So them the top two teams right now. And, the bad teams are going to – the little smaller schools are going to be left on the outside looking in.
Yeah. Let me read this comment. USC should make the college football playoff with how many disadvantages the USC goes through regarding Pac-12 championship. I feel they deserve some consideration. But then his follow-up comment is USC has no standout wins. That's their problem. And that's a great point. Like we talk about strength of schedule. That's not something that we just throw out there just because, but it shows what teams have you beaten. The teams that they did this year, Arizona State, Arizona, Utah, Washington State, UCLA, that's a big game. And they're playing Oregon in the championship game. And Oregon's 3-2. I'm sorry. You might as well not even be ranked. You're ranked at 15th. Take whatever you get, but you can't be in the top four.
So is the question we're asking is, should they be in the top? What's the question we're asking? Because I know we're not asking should they be in the top the top dog.
Yeah, well that's
that's no consideration. No, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. No. Simply put.
Now here's some of the big games for this upcoming week, which we got the conference championship games. Ohio State playing Northwestern. Northwestern's 6-1. You got to give them their props, but this is Justin Fields. I'm predicting Ohio State's going to win that game. Anybody disagree? They're a 20-point favorite.
That's all Ohio State.
That's all the Ohio State. Now, Texas A&M, the reason why I'm bringing this up, they're playing Tennessee. Now, this is not a conference championship game. This is probably like a makeup game. But if they go 8-1, and here's the kind of the scenario. If they go 8-1, and obviously Clemson or Notre Dame's going to lose, it's probably going to be Notre Dame. Do they slide into that fourth spot? I'll go to you. I'll go to you, D'Anthony.
Now repeat that question one more time. I'm sorry, I was looking at Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no problem. It is a close game. 23 seconds left. They may be able to get in field goal range, but the question is if Notre Dame loses, which I'm predicting that's going to happen, number 5 is Texas A&M. Do they slide into that fourth spot?
The thing with A&M is we're gonna have to say, how does their schedule look? What are their big wins? Okay, it's gonna be Florida, even though they've lost a few games now. What are their standout wins?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make a point that one of the smaller teams should be ahead of them? I really do wonder that now. When you're talking about an undefeated, smaller school, should that undefeated smaller school jump a one-loss SEC team?
Maybe. And the fact that they got blown out, they could not compete with Alabama. They got blown out 52-24. To me, you're getting blown out by a top team. You got to be able to compete better than that. The rest of their schedule is kind of lackluster. They beat Florida, like you mentioned. They haven't beat any other ranked team. So it looks like, did he make the field goal? He did make the field goal.
That's it.
And looks like that's it. So
that was a good game.
That was a good game right there. Monday Night Football. So I think I would love to see, honestly, I would love to see Coastal Carolina in there. I just don't know if they're going to do that. And then you got Cincinnati, who's undefeated. Cincinnati's 8-0. Now their schedule is a little bit, as far as them playing ranked teams, is a little bit tougher. And then they play Tulsa, this weekend. So, Al, give us your thoughts.
With A&M slipping to that 4th spot and getting in the playoff, the one marquee game that they had, they got smoked, and that was Alabama. Who was number 6? I don't have.
No problem. I got it up right here. Now the college football playoff is probably not going to be out, I think, until tomorrow. But
right.
As far as the rankings, Cincinnati is 6. They're 8-0.
Also,
and then see, like, if they put, because Florida's going to fall. We know they're gonna fall out of it.
They already lost 2 games, so they can't get
and then who is 7? Who is 7 and 8? I'm trying to put this together right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you the top 10. You got Cincinnati at 6, Indiana at 7 at 6-1, Iowa State 8-2, 9th. You got Coastal Carolina 11-0, and then you got Georgia 7-2. So to me, if you want to go by undefeated, it's got to be between Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina.
And they're gonna give it to Cincinnati because of the stronger schedule and the stronger conference in that particular spot.
If they win this weekend, they got to beat Tulsa, which they should do that.
They should. Anything is possible though. But is it that their championship game, or are they at Tulsa?
So this is a makeup game that they missed. So I don't even think I know they're in, I'm not sure what conference they're in, but they may not even have an actual championship game. This is just like a makeup.
That boy DeAnthony smiling, boy, left and right. Looking like
that game, wow, man. Wow.
What are they doing? Mine is delayed.
Mine is delayed. The stream. Hold on. Let me pull it back up.
Oh, wow.
What are they doing?
Just fall on the ball. Just fall on the ball. Just fall on the ball. It's over.
Hey, I'm going to give credit to where credit is due, man. Cleveland, I picked them to go to the playoffs. And I actually had Baltimore not in the playoffs. I had Cleveland in the playoffs and Baltimore sitting outside. So for them to show up like this and play like this, Cleveland's getting better now. Cleveland's getting for real. I still don't trust Baker, but everything else is good.
All right, so
they got some pieces. They definitely got some pieces.
They got the pieces. Go out there and get you a Matt Stafford. That's all I'm gonna say that with
alone. So Tulsa playing Cincinnati is the conference championship game. So that is
but see the thing with that, even when then I kind of answer my own question. When you look at Cincinnati, okay, undefeated with the teams they played, is that more impressive than Texas A&M schedule? Even though they lost 1 game, I mean, because you can make a point that probably Texas A&M schedule is probably harder than Cincinnati's schedule. I don't know if that's true though. So
They play it all SEC, and SEC is the better conference than the big American or whatever that conference
So
is.
so 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 in that regard, you almost have to give the one-loss team the nod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got a good point.
They got to make it. They got to make it 8 teams.
And that's why you said we got to make it an 8 team, and then you get your Power 5. You get your winner from each Power 5 championship, and then you get your Group 6. Your Group 5 champions, like your American Conference champion, your Sun Belt, and one other pick in there, and then just duke it out that way. Because see, now you're saying, well, you're weighing records of who's the better conference and who and the best over here. If you're doing all conference.
Yeah,
you gotta be.
You got to. And I mean, at this point, man, if you want to see all the best teams, extend it to 8. You will get all the best teams in it.
And this would have been the right year to extend it, in my opinion, at least maybe to even 6, just to experiment.
Yeah.
Just to like say, well, let's try something different this year, and let's go ahead and expand it out. We know people are this is a pandemic that we're in. Not everybody's going to have a full slate. So let's see if we do extend this out to experiment and do 6 to 8 games and see what happens. 6 to 8 teams. But like DeAnthony said, we need to go 8. And might even cut down less on them preseason games. Not preseason games, the conference games or the money games. You know how some of them teams play 3 or 4 games before conference. Play them small schools, cut one of them 2 games out and go from there. And that way you have more weeks to prepare for like that 18 playoff.
Right. All right, man. Well, before I let you guys go, real quick, Heisman talk. You guys have winning the Heisman. I think Trask is out, but looking at this list I've got on this is Sport News. Let me make sure this is up to date. Right now, they have. Go ahead.
Do they show the stats, Ben? When they show the Heisman contenders, do they show the stats?
They do. I don't know how up to date. I think this is up to date. So you got Mac Jones. Is leading the pack right now, according to Sport News. I think this is what does it say? 16 hours ago. So yeah, this is up to date. So Mac Jones, he's 3,321 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His last game, he threw for 208 yards. You got Kyle Trask. His last game, he had 2 interceptions, but he's got 3,717 yards, 39 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, also 2 rushing touchdowns. Devontae Smith, 1,327 yards, 17 touchdowns from scrimmage. And then Trevor Lawrence that they have. So that's kind of the top.
What Trevor Lawrence is looking like?
Trevor Lawrence, he missed a couple games. He got 2,431 yards, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Okay. Man, as painful as it say, because I really want Devontae Smith to get some reps there. It's gonna be tough going against Matt Jones because he can say, well, I have the best team in the land. I'm the quarterback of that team, and my stats are comparable. They're pretty good. So it's probably looking like Matt Jones right now, and it is what it is to me. That's what it's looking like.
Yeah. And one thing I will say, if you look at the whole NCAA, Mac Jones is top 5. He's 4th, but Devontae Smith is number 1 in receiving by 200 yards. So I would give it to Devontae Smith. I know it's hard to give it to a wide receiver. Quarterbacks are normally a running back, only the ones to get it.
Now, Trask got quite a bit more yards than him, right?
Yeah, Trask is number 1.
Yeah, he got 3,717.
So there's an argument you can give it to Trask, even though they
that's a big argument. That's a really big argument. Yeah.
So who you got, Al?
Man, the media gonna give it to Mac. But if we look at the yards and teams, man, the people I really wanted to get a look was be like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. But man, it's probably gonna be Mac, man. They've been blowing everybody out. It's Alabama.
It's Alabama.
It's just the lower Alabama, and then you got a senior, the boy Devontae Smith, who been doing his thing, catching from Jones. So it's gonna be Jones, y'all.
I wonder how many yards they running back got.
Let me see. You talking about
Harris?
Yeah, Najee Harris.
Yeah, because I know at one point he was pretty decent. I mean, when I'm talking about like picking up the yards.
Yeah, he's. I know for sure he's not top 5. They got Breece Hall. I'm not sure where that is, but he's
that's it. For Iowa State.
Now the funny thing is, number 3 and number 5 are both from North Carolina. They both have over 1,000 yards. Them boys is running. Yeah. Najee Harris is at number 7. He's got 1,084 yards. So he's still top 10.
How many touchdowns he got?
Let's see.
22. Woo, that's tough. That's nice.
That's the most in college football.
See?
But think about it. Alabama is averaging how many points a game, y'all? Come on. Come on.
45 probably.
They patenting these stat numbers, man.
Hey, can you blame them?
Yeah. Hey, you got to stop them. You got to be able to.
Got to stop them.
You got to.
Nobody can do it.
Nobody can do it.
So nobody. But they can win it all this year. I think they're in the. I think they're in the driver's seat.
Oh, they're gonna win it all. They're gonna win it all. Mm-hmm. Clemson will give them a challenge, but that machine is oiled very well right now.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
All right, y'all. Well, great having both of you guys on. Al, thank you for coming through, man. Good seeing you.
Hey, likewise,
man, we got to do national championship game is on Monday, so we could do a live show during the game.
Yeah.
When is what day it is?
I think it's the 11th or something like that.
Okay.
Let me see.
Probably so. Okay.
Hell, with COVID, man, it's tentative, man, because things be changing.
It's Monday, January 11th, but they'll push it back. Like if it's some COVID tests or something, they'll definitely push it back. I wouldn't be surprised. But all right, y'all. Have a good night. Both of you guys.
Okay, y'all have a good night.
All right.
Have a good night.
Peace.
All righty.